Yeah, so guys, do you guys remember Slappy the Dummy? Remember that?
That's
Yeah. So I have some insults from him. You tell me if you're insulted, okay? You need a checkup from the neck up.
I'm Betty.
Is that your
that is
face? Or...
just a little rude.
Yeah, it's a little rude. Is that your face, or did you forget to take out the garbage? Nothing. Okay. Oh, fuck.
Pretty bad.
Yeah,
Both
that
of
was
like-
mean.
All right, where did you two meet? A nerd circus? Okay.
I embraced my nerd status.
Yeah, that fits.
You're so dumb. You stay up all night studying how to pick your nose. Yeah. So this
That's
is
more
a
gross than anything.
Well, so from the twisted mind of R.L. Stein, we have Goosebumps. Hey, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Demon Toast, the podcast of Deathwish Poetry Magazine. I'm King Loke. That's Old Norse for Daniel, and I'm your host. And with me are Adrian, our resident painter and dreamer, and Erica, our literary scholar and awesome person. And joining us is a special guest, Cy Marie, a poet who's appeared in our fall edition. Cy, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
I mean, I can't complain. So me and Adrian, to some extent anyway, grew up with R.L. Stein and his work. Erica, Cy, is that true of you?
Well, yeah, I was in like the Scholastic Horror Book Club when I was in 5th grade and got all of them.
That's cool. That's cool.
I spent a lot of
Crazy.
time in the library when I was in school, and that was 90% of what I picked up was Goosebumps, or when I was getting into like graphic novels, like the Bones series.
Okay.
That one was actually really good. I didn't know that anyone else had read those.
Well, now that you mentioned the Scholastic Book Series Club, I don't know what that is, by the way, but that reminds me, we did have book fairs, and like there were lots of the little Goosebumps books, but things like Animorphs also, and there were probably other series that escape my memory, but books just like this, small. Small enough to fit in your pocket or your book bag, and written in a digestible format for kids to read, right?
Okay.
That's kind of a thing. It still is a thing, but these were largely some of the first books I read personally, And it's interesting that a guy like R.L. Stein moved on from Fear Street to writing specifically for kids, isn't it? I actually haven't read Fear Street. Have you guys read it?
I have.
Read that?
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
absolutely love them.
Interesting.
So it starts with the Fear Street saga, and of course there's the Netflix series now if people want to watch that. I actually really liked it. I think that it was pretty well done, being a fan of the original book series. I got a hold of that when I think I was like 12 and I read all 3 of them the same summer after I had already read lots of the Goosebumps series. So I was like, okay, I've read every single, and consequently I was going to the library and getting books from there and like doing summer library reading. So I had read all of the Goosebumps they had. And the only things left on the shelf that were R.L. Stein books were Fear Street. And I think the first one is The Burning, maybe? No, wait, let me check. It's The Betrayal, yeah. So The Burning's the last one. So I got The Betrayal, and I've always this is giving a little bit of info about it away, but I've always kind of liked like old witchy or like Salem witch trial type stories. And it's kind of got an element like that. And it's about the Fear family, which is the people that set up this town. And it just drew me in because he did such a good job of illustrating this founding family and this curse and all of these really epic things that lend to other parts of the series. So it's really awesome.
Interesting. Yeah, he's a guy who really understands his audience in an incredible way. Like, something that struck me with this book in particular, this is Night of the Living Dummy. It's not the classic cover that everybody loves. I found this at a used bookstore. But something that I got was lots of alliteration, lots of very short, compact sentences. And he has a real knack for giving his characters an inner life, which I noticed was missing from a lot of the episodes of the TV show, which he didn't write. He would introduce them, he was involved, but he didn't write them. And so at the beginning of Night of the Living Dummy, these 2 sisters go into a house that's being rebuilt after there was a fire or something. And the one says, I wonder who's going to move in. Maybe cute, adorable guys will move in next. And I'm like, they have wants, they have needs, they have, you know what I mean? They have preferences on things. And that's something you don't really see in a lot of kids' media. They're very like for lack of a better word, sexless, uninteresting, sighted, you know what I mean? And Arlstein was, a middle-aged man writing this stuff, you know what I mean? The Night of the Living Dummy episode has none of that, you know what I mean? I think it's interesting that he was able to take what worked for teenagers and translate it into a digestible format for little kids, you know? And this stuff was huge. Do you guys remember Curly, the skeleton with the pink mohawk? Yeah.
You had
Oh,
to remind me of him today. I
yeah, I
had
did.
completely forgotten him.
Very 90s, very edgy, very cool. Kind of like if the Crypt Keeper, didn't eat spiders, I guess, you know?
Eee.
Right. And like there's a lot of like value in these books too, which I think is very fun. Like I opened up reading some of Slappy's terrible jokes. I mean, there's a ton of them in this book. Knock knock, who's there? Jane. Jane who? Change your clothes, you stink. Like I don't even understand why it's here, but it's because Slappy is a character, right? I don't know. So Erica, you're a little younger than I am, right? You didn't watch Goosebumps on TV, did you?
No, not very much at least. The like digital media that we did have for Goosebumps when I was growing up, I didn't have cable for context. We had a lot of DVDs and it just kind of manifested in our house one day. I don't even really remember how we got the DVD, but it had a ton of the episodes from the original show, I'm pretty sure. And I got my hands on that when I was like 10 after I had started reading like the book series and had gotten really invested, and I was like, this is peak media right here. I am all in for this.
Yeah, definitely. Uh, Sai, did you watch them growing up?
I did watch them growing up. I was
Yeah.
one of those was, yeah, admittedly kind of cheesy, but it was also one of the coolest things that we had from, a really popular book series at that time. So I was very invested.
Well, I watched them growing up. I was about 5 when it started airing, and I gotta tell you, that was not cool. That one with the sponge with the horrifying red eyes and the teeth that lives under the sink. So I want to talk about Arlstein's penchant for taking domestic items and turning them into objects of horror, right? Like, me and Adrian were talking about this earlier. Like,
The cuckoo
there's this
clock.
movie, huh?
Like the cuckoo clock of doom.
Like the Cuckoo Clock of Doom. But like in a horror movie, you're going to take something that your audience is associated with in a very general way and turn it into an object of horror. Like I brought up the movie. It's not a very good movie, but it's a great example. Mother, right? The who directed that? The Aronofsky movie, and it's like a horror movie aimed at women where the household is turned into oh dear. Okay, fucking Riverside. You're okay. Yeah, but no, he turns the domestic household setting into a place of horror where they're eating her baby and there's all these strangers there. Well, if you're writing horror for children, what's scary? Weird dummies, cuckoo clocks, your dad's old clock. You know what I mean? The basement your dad goes down to play with his model train or eat his plant food, because he's a plant monster. And yeah, like the idea of there being something under the sink, because little kids don't go under the sink. And when they do, what do they see? They see a bunch of trash bags and cleaning chemicals and things that they don't have nothing to do with. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I just think that
That makes me
it's
remember Monster Blood.
yeah. Do you want to talk about Monster
Monster
Blood?
Blood
That's a classic.
was one of my favorites. It really was.
What happens in that one?
It's like the green goo stuff that grows and eats everything and grows and never stops.
You know what my favorite thing about that book is? The boy's dog is named Trigger. I never forgot that. That's such a great detail, isn't it? Let me think. So, something I find interesting is that the endings are often different, Like in Night of the Living Dummy, like in the book, they smash his head, and then, like, the guy who smashed his head leaves, and Slappy grabs the girl's hand and goes, I thought he'd never leave. In the show, not so much, right? He just, he's gone. He's put into a trunk, and that's the end of him. I don't know. So where should we go next? Erica, what are some of your favorite episodes?
I think one that's two that still kind of linger in my noggin. I don't remember the titles for them, but like the werewolf episode, that boy and his parents kind of moved to like a quieter part of the suburbs and things just start going really, really strangely and they're like over involved with their vet. And then if I remember at the end of that particular episode, it turns out that he wasn't even really like a child to begin with. He had always been a dog and they were just hopeful for a child. So like reverse engineering there, it was a fever dream sort of situation for me. And then the one with like the piano instructor, a haunted piano sort of situation. This one I remember a lot more vaguely, just bits and pieces. But this girl is wandering the halls in like her school, from what I can remember, or like a conservatory of some sorts after she starts taking lessons. And I honestly can't even remember how that episode ended. Just the specter in that particular episode was the weird thing for me because it was like, okay, so this instructor is like a viable, living, breathing human. And then all of a sudden it's like this not human chasing her? That's not great. I don't want to take piano lessons ever now.
You know, it's interesting that you mention a werewolf because they did a few werewolves. There was one where this kid's mother has a new boyfriend and he's weird and he starts to suspect that he's a werewolf, and by the end of it it's like, I know he's a werewolf. Isn't it great? And at the end of it, they're playing fetch with him on the night of the full moon. Adrian, did you want to talk about the one that horrified me as a little boy? I had nightmares about this. It wasn't cool. I think it came out when I was like 6 or 7, and it was a VHS release. The Werewolf of Fever Swamp.
Werewolf of Fever
It was
Swamp.
my favorite of the books, and I actually just rewatched the film today, and they change a lot. But I'm going to tell you, it was actually not as cheesy as I was expecting. Like, it had better production value than some of the other episodes did. But it's this boy moves in with his family in the middle of nowhere in Florida, and there's this swamp. And of course, like a curious kid, he goes to investigate, gets lost, and then he starts hearing weird noises. And then this dog comes out, and in the book, he names the dog Wolf, but they call him Vandal in the episode. But like, it turns out his best friend, who you would never suspect was actually the werewolf, and his name is Will Blake, like William Blake, and I thought that was like absolutely brilliant and hilarious. Thank you, Erica, for knowing what I'm talking about.
Werewolf burning bright in the forests of the night.
Yeah, the werewolf sinks into a swamp, and then his like decaying body comes out later. It's like,
yeah, that's the end of it. It's horrifying. Yeah, I don't like that stuff. I mean, I like it, but as a child, I was like, no.
Pictures were really good, and at one point when like the mom and the sister are in the barn and stuff, it like turned into Silver Bullet for me. And I was like, dude, this is up.
It's interesting. Like, we love monsters on this show. Like, we have a special penchant for monsters. Me and Adrian are confirmed monster fuckers. Like, that's the thing.
That's a thing.
Like, what?
I was going to avoid the term, but now that it's been thrown out there, I'm a happy camper.
Yeah. I mean, hey, like, if Frankenstein or Nosferatu would have come over, I mean, I've got the tea on the kettle, you know what I mean? I got the cakes ready to go. I'm just saying, so, like, what I love about Goosebumps...
All the horny Nosferatu memes, oh.
Everybody wants Nosferatu. But, no, but that's the thing. Like, this show, Goosebumps, these books, they're full of monsters. And I find it compelling that a lot of things made for adults are not. Like, there was Del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities recently. That was a Netflix series.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It adapts one of my favorite Lovecraft stories, Pickman's Model, actually. Speaking of monsters. But, like, that's, like, an outlier. You know what I mean? Like, it's very rare that horror aimed at adults focuses on... It's usually, like, serial killer stuff. Slashers, right. Like, obviously, like, me and Adrian, we talk about... Like, there was the movie Cuckoo recently that was fucking great. I mean, it's horrible, cheap.
I love
So bad it's good.
It's awesome.
They are indeed awesome. It's funny. I was actually editing our Blade episode today. This is going to be released later, so But I was editing our Blade episode, and I make the joke that we're talking about Blade, and I hold up the first Puppet Master movie, because his name is Blade.
Mm-hmm.
But I digress. Right, there have been lots of Goosebumps products, things since that first 95 show and these, this run of books, which, was very popular from 95 up till sometime in the aughts. I mean, like, I have a few books from, well, I have a book from what's called Slappy World, which is an imprint of Goosebumps, where Goosebumps was insanely popular, but certain characters were more popular than others. And this other one, Horrorland, which are books set in Horrorland, as it were, right? In this Slappy World book, it's called The Dummy Meets the Mummy. Yeah, there's old Slappy getting eaten by a mummy, which is amazing. But my point is that they were pretty popular up till some indeterminate point in probably 2010 or something like that. And like there was the show, then there were those two terrible movies with Jack Black, and there's been a reboot since.
There's been two.
There have been two other shows. I tried to watch one of them. All the teenagers were saying things like Riz, and I couldn't hang.
I have to tell you, I loved that one. Mostly for the one moment where Justin Long is dancing around listening to the 500 Miles song, and he's dancing around with his broom and eating worms, and it literally made my whole life worth living. Like, it was everything.
Well, I wish I could find fulfillment like that
Thank you.
level of fulfillment in anything, but okay.
Yeah, Slappy ends up being the bad guy in that one too.
Yeah, he's too popular. He's too popular. I want to talk about those two stupid movies with Jack Black. Did you guys watch them?
Yeah, I've seen one.
Even know they existed.
I'm sorry to let you know. Yeah, so they suck. Spoilers. They don't try to be scary. They try to be funny. They have CGI monsters that look like cartoons. And it's not like charming CGI. Like me and Adrian talked about
Welcome to Derry.
Thank you. Welcome to Derry, which has a lot of CGI, but it's used in such a way where it's almost charming, like bad puppetry or something like that, These movies, not so much, right? Like, and the thing about Goosebumps is that, like, when you're watching, let's say, Bad Hair Day and the rabbits talking, that's funny because you're an adult, right? Night of the Living Dummy. It's hilarious because you're an adult, you've seen this done well, but it's made earnestly because if a child's watching it, they haven't seen Dolls or Dead Silence or whatever, They haven't seen The Orphan or something like that. Like, that's scary to them. The Dummy's talking, or Cuckoo Clock of Doom, where it turns the child into a little baby. Like, they haven't seen movies that do this stuff well, so it's scary to them. And, like, that's the thing about all this other stuff. It doesn't understand its audience, and it doesn't treat the material with reverence. Whereas, like, Adrian, there have been two shows. Like, do they at least try?
The first one I thought was actually, I enjoyed it. I liked the one with Justin Long very, very much because it did have some things in there, but it was still not for little kids. It was more for teenagers who were into the books. So it was kind of like, I guess, like an updated, like, ooh. So they actually did try to, like, put some, like, actual scary content and some, like, interesting content in that one. The other one with David Schwimmer was so absolutely god-awful, I could not finish it. I couldn't do it. I was, like, done. And it's following the plot line with, the dad with the plant goo and stuff like that.
Interesting. So what you're saying is that with the first one, the first reboot, not the movies, but that first reboot, the one with Justin Long, it was kind of trying to grow up with its new audience.
That's exactly what it was doing. That's exactly what it was.
Sai, I see you nodding. Did you watch that show? Did you have thoughts on it?
So my niece was really into it, and I did not watch, I watched the first episode, and then I was just like, but I got to hear all about it constantly, so.
Damn.
But I mean, for the age group, and also he's 14 now, but at the time that it came out, it's been a few years ago now. So it was kind of geared at what I feel like is that tween group more than anything, and
little
kid, trying to make it a little more edgy.
Well, how do you feel about that? Like, do you feel like it's good for children to have dedicated horror like that?
I mean, I think that making age appropriate for each, because there are little kids that immediately are taken in with Halloween and stuff like that, and they're not scared. They like it and they think it's fun. And then there are those that are terrified. So of course, as a parent, you have to look at what kind of content best suits your kids. But I think it would be a disservice to say, well, we should only make it at this age. I mean, we see all kinds of great, scary content in different ways, even with it being Christmas time and you look like A Christmas Carol. There's ways to make it interesting and give the original content the kind of reverence like you were talking about it deserves. And I do feel like in ways that they, with every Goosebumps rendition they've tried to do, it hasn't quite hit the mark for me of the greatness of the books. And that's just my opinion, but I just,
Nothing hits the book.
yeah.
Nothing hits
Yeah.
the book. The books are sacred. Like that's like a whole other
Yeah.
I
level.
think you'd be hard pressed to really, do something different than what they were doing in the 90s and hit that mark because yes, they changed the stories, but at its core, like R.L. Stein is taking something mundane and making like Say Cheese and Die. It's an old camera. In the show, they make it look like a weird Victorian space camera. It kind of looks like a toaster, but it's still just a camera, and all the horror centers around it. You know what I mean? And like that's the thing. Like in the book, I'm pretty sure it's just a Polaroid camera. Polaroid cameras are fucking creepy. They're weird. I don't, I love them, but when you
I
take
have
those pictures and yeah, yeah. I mean, my grandmother has one, and like it doesn't work, but she has it, and like it's fascinating to play with because like you take a picture of someone, the picture pops out, and it always looks weird. It never looks right, you know. There's something mysterious about it, and the idea of there being like a cursed like Polaroid camera. That's not too. I mean, that doesn't feel far fetched when you're 8, because it's
Mhm.
mysterious. How does that fucking thing work? Get that out of get it out of my face. I despite being a little bitch when I was younger, I loved monsters. I loved scary things. And kids in general love monsters, you know? It's just a thing. I mean, whether it's the type of monsters that are Godzilla's or the type of monsters that are Frankenstein's, kids love monsters. It excites them. I was just talking about this with one of my clients actually. Like, little kids love Halloween, but we domesticize Halloween. You ever hear of trunk or treat?
It
Right?
is ruining the spirit of Halloween. You don't
Right?
see kids trick or treating anymore.
I know.
Right? Like Halloween, it's all monsters and plastic body parts and like gravestones and witches and
Horror.
all kinds of horrible things and like fake blood and haunted houses. And we're like, oh, we want you to be safe. So we're going to go to a parking lot and you're going to go from trunk to trunk and get candy. And then we're going to go home and we're going to make sure there's no razor blades or poison in it. And like, I get it. I don't have kids. I think the only one here who has kids is Adrian. I get it. I get it. You don't want your children.
But my
I
kids
have never taken kids to a trunk or treat. I'm just letting you know we go real trick or treating in this house.
we go to a haunt
But
every year, like, or sometimes two haunts every year. My kids love Halloween.
yeah,
Wait,
it's great.
you do you have kids?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I should have asked. Okay, got it.
He's used to
Okay.
me being the only one because I'm the old lady in the group.
You're not an old lady.
Lady Adrian.
I mean, I'm old enough to have three kids that are adults,
I
so.
mean,
You
whatever.
look like you're 25.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the compliment. I'm not quite that young. My daughter is about to be 24, so.
Oh my
Damn.
gosh.
Damn, I actually thought you were around Erica's age. Like Erica's in her 20s too.
Thought you were about like my sister's age, maybe. I have some siblings in their mid to like mid 30s now, because I'm the youngest.
I'm 41.
Damn. Cool.
My oldest sister would be 46 this year.
Cool.
You don't look a day over 30 to me, Adrian.
Well, you look like you're in your 20s to me,
Both look
so
very young.
I'll take that compliment too, hun. You're amazing.
We're very supportive here
I
on
can
this
tell
show.
that this has been great so far, but yeah.
Well, so Sai, do you watch this with your kids then?
Well, yeah, I mean some of them I watch different types of content with my kids. The biggest thing right now is Stranger Things, but
Of
Yeah,
course.
I was gonna go there actually because we really should cover Stranger Things at some point. I have very strong opinions on it, of course, because I'm an edgelord and I'm me, and I look at everything from a critical perspective. But like, it has its place. Adrian, go ahead. Tell us why you watch Stranger Things with your kids.
It's fantasy sci-fi horror for kids. Like it's stuff that kids can relate to. Like you said, like the early Goosebumps, it's the same thing. It's something that they can relate to that honestly they've gotten to grow up with, right? They grow
Yes.
up with the kids as the kids grow up. And so the stuff that they deal with is, like where my kids are in their life. Like
yep.
it's really interesting and kind of exciting, but it is. It's horror for kids.
Right. It's horror. I mean, Sai, is that your experience with it as well? Do you watch it with your kids?
Exactly. It's not just it's a good starting point because if they're going to be interested in these things, it's something that we can all do together. And, my daughter's older now, so now she's into other types of things, but it really was my kids that were like, "Mom, you should watch Stranger Things. You should come watch this with us." So I was like, "Okay, let's do this." And since I have interest in things like Stephen King and there's obviously that influence, you see how the intersectional it's there.
Oh yeah. There's even Nightmare on Elm Street stuff in the fourth season. It's so fun.
Yes, it really is awesome.
Right, and I feel like someone like me who's just watching it, like I'm missing the point because like I'm like, oh, this is just like E.T. with some it elements. Like go to hell with your fucking pastiche. But Adrian's like, yeah, but like I watched it with my kids and they enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's there. It was
You know,
introduction.
I feel like the Stranger Things hate train is kind of like watching Goosebumps and being like, look at this, what is this schlock? You know, and it's like it's not for you, dipshit. You know, like
Exactly.
it's for a totally different audience. It's for the juice box crowd, man. You know, they're not gonna watch Keeper. They're not gonna watch The Ugly Stepsister. Like
Well, that is so good, though.
The Ugly Stepsister is great, and I do think you should show that to your children. I'm just kidding. Please
I
don't
am
show
not-
your kids The Ugly
I just
Stepsister.
say that most of my kids are adults, like, so some of this I can now, and, it's.
Oh wow.
What is that like? Is it amazing?
I see Nosferatu with my daughter and her best friend last December, but like I said, they are 23, so.
Can't wait. I can't wait. I'm so excited to hit that point. Like we've gotten to where we can watch the Aliens movies and stuff now.
That's how
And
it starts
that's
out,
super
too.
Favorite stuff to do with my dad.
Watch movies, yeah.
It's cool.
Watched Chucky growing up with my mom. Dad got me right on all the Alien and Predators movies, and now that I'm an adult and just off on my own, I watch all sorts of weird niche stuff, and I'm like, hey, Mom, let me traumatize you a little bit.
My dad
That's what Dan
horror
did with his
movie.
grandmother too.
I do that to my grandmother. I made her watch Leprechaun 4 in space. She did not like it. She was not impressed.
I think the very first Leprechaun movie I saw, I was like 9, and it was with my dad, and it was Back to the Hood.
I seen the first one
Left
in
the hood
theater.
here to do no good.
Yeah. Speaking of bad things, the Leprechaun 5 in the Hood, that's the best directed one, which says something about that series. Yeah. Like, the directing is pretty good. It's just a bad movie. All right, Apollo.
It's Coolio. Is that Coolio?
Oh yeah, Coolio's in that movie. Yeah, he's not in Back to the Hood, the sixth one. It's just so good. Right. So
I
R.L.
think that's
Stein.
the beauty. Oh, I'm so sorry, Dan.
No. Go ahead, Erica. Talk about whatever it is you're talking about.
I think that's the beauty of having media like Stranger Things and Goosebumps, especially though, because like some of the films I saw when I was younger is probably not how you should be introducing your children to horror media. I feel like this gives you and your children the opportunity to explore new things and interests and like the feelings that come with them, especially because younger kids can be very easily frightened by things they haven't seen or experienced before. It gives you the chance to reframe those things and be like, okay, here's the situation, but it's different than like face value, right? Where you can process those emotions differently and kind of rewire your brain so it's not as traumatizing as it would have been initially. And then at the end of the day, maybe it's this new beautiful thing that you're interested in, right?
Yeah, don't be like my mother, who showed me Night of the Living Dead when I was like 4, and I didn't appreciate that. It was pretty horrifying, especially when the little girl picks up the cake knife and starts stabbing the woman in the face. Like, yeah, maybe show him Goosebumps. You know, Goosebumps is appropriate.
It was House of
Goosebumps
Wax.
is House of Wax. Yeah, like I think kids can handle certain things. Like again, like I say that about Night of the Living Dead, but like I also saw RoboCop when I was little, which is a horrifically violent and sexual movie, and it was the most amazingest movie ever. So, you know, case by case basis.
Watch the movies with your kids so you can judge their reactions, so you can see how they're processing it, and be like, "Are you just
That's that parental guidance.
Parental guidance.
Parental guidance suggested. And I love things like Goosebumps, for example, because it is something fun you can watch with your kids, and you can watch it together. I was watching one of the episodes today. It was that first one, the girl that cried monster. And at one point, her dad was like, "I thought this was just a phase you were going through." And she's like, "My whole life is a phase I'm going through." And I was like, dude, that's actually like legit, especially
So
for, like,
relatable.
yes.
I have a short essay from someone named Shannon Lewis. It's called From Roald Dahl to Goosebumps. Horror and children's lit, right? And it's about all these things. But here, I'm just going to go here and read this. The thing is, if you're here reading this article, you were probably a child who likes horror. It's not something that came to you as an adult when you were the right age and maturity to handle it. No, it came in the form of urban legends spread around the playground about a girl whose head was only attached to her neck by a green ribbon. It was reading scary stories to tell in the dark and going down into the basement even though the shadows glared. There's something about horror, about being afraid, that draws us in at any age. I remember being 11 and visiting the library with my grandma during the winter holiday. I was picking up a stack of books to keep me entertained for the next 2 weeks. I grabbed some standard fare: Nancy Drew, Little House on the Prairie, Railway Children. But among stories of little girl detectives and prairie life, I was also reading ghost tales about haunted cars and evil spirits. I was picking up Fear Street and Goosebumps. And yeah, she goes on for a while, but her point is horror, as it appears in children's literature, has a wide range from accidentally terrifying to deliberately creepy, right? And that's the thing. This article also has Roald Dahl in its title. And look, I mean, if you've read Fantastic Mr. Fox, if you've read the BFG, you know, the BFG, a book where giants literally eat people and crunch their bones and talk about how delicious and wonderful it is and make jokes about it.
Well, you were talking about um the Goosebumps one with the rabbit earlier and how the book ending is completely different, but it's very similar to the ending of The Witches when he gets
Let's
turned
talk
into
about
out.
let's talk about Bad Hair Day. So in the book, the kid finds out that his favorite magician is actually the rabbit controlling a dummy, and the rabbit is incredibly rude, and it's kind of a lame duck ending. It doesn't make any. It's just whatever. Okay, the magician was the rabbit the whole time. That's not really scary or interesting. In the show, the episode, what happens is his sister gets disappeared, and there's a talking rabbit who's like, "I was a magician, and the magician that made your sister disappear, he turned me into a rabbit," and like he brings his sister back, but the magician catches him and turns him into a rabbit. And then it ends with the magician putting the two rabbits into a guillotine, and the episode just abruptly ending. That's amazing!
Child murder.
Yay! That's great! Like, a little kid's gonna watch it and be like, oh no, I hope they got out. And that feeling of fear, and then the credits coming on. By the way, the intro to that show is amazing. But yeah, but the credits coming on, like, it's this catharsis where it's over, it's just a show, or is it, you know? I think that, like, the intro to that show is amazing because it's creepy, right? And, like, so much work probably went into shining that the shadow of the G over the physical set, because they weren't using computer graphics for that. That's awesome. And then you see a dog, and its eyes turn into cartoon demon eyes, and it's like, ruff, 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 ruff. Like, a little kid's got to find that funny, right? I don't know. I haven't been 5 in a long time, so.
It reminds me of Erie, Indiana. Like the
What'd you
intro
say?
to that.
What'd you say?
The intro to that reminds me of the intro to Erie, Indiana.
Erie, Indiana.
Right. Tell us about Erie, Indiana. I know what it is, but tell our listeners about that.
Erie, Indiana was my favorite when I was a kid. It's about this boy who's looking for proof that Erie, Indiana has monsters and all sorts of supernatural stuff. And he keeps all of these like proof things, and it goes through each story. But one of them had a dog with like glowing cartoon red eyes like that. And it was really funny. It was the one with the kid with the braces it was child horror. That's exactly what it was. That might have actually been the first horror thing I had access to as a kid was Erie, Indiana.
They're monster hunters.
Yes.
Right? Yeah,
And I
yeah.
wanted to be a monster hunter, so they were my heroes. Marshall was my hero. I was in love with Marshall Teller. I'm not gonna lie.
He was
Marshall
awesome.
Teller.
He was awesome. That also reminds me of So Weird and Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Well,
Are
you
you
know, it's
afraid?
interesting that you bring that up. Are You Afraid of the Dark was on the air at the same time. It was on Nickelodeon, I believe, right?
I love
Fuck yeah.
that one.
It's funny. We were talking so I was misremembering the Say Cheese and Die episode because Are You Afraid of the Dark ripped it off. Like, instead of, like, you know, the kid's friend falling off of the banister or whatever, like, he takes a picture with his little camera and the locker falls on him. It's stuff like that. I do think Are You Afraid of the Dark had some better episodes, but I didn't really watch it in preparation for this, so I don't really want to speak on it too much, but you're welcome to.
I was just gonna
I
say
think
the one that I remember the most was the Banshee one. That one was pretty creepy.
it was pretty.
Yeah, these shows were pretty great. Again, I don't know that anything like this is on. I don't know what kids do these days. Do they watch network TV? I don't have cable, so
I don't even know if network TV is like a big thing anymore.
I think most of
Like
it's
Not really.
you have
okay.
TVs that automatically like they're streaming, like they're, like digital TVs that like, Roku and stuff like that. You don't have like, yeah,
When I
ABC.
turn on my TV, it's straight to streaming apps.
Me
Well, I
too.
just want to. Yeah, I mean, I want to highlight. Like, I mean, Goosebumps was a big deal when we were kids. It was so popular. It had Happy Meal toys. There was a hamster. I think his name was Cuddles. Like I had his toy. It was very cool. It turned inside out. Yeah, like they were happy. Like like McDonald's doesn't just give Happy Meal promotions out. Like they don't just license anyone. You have to have the money to do that. And like kids were reading this stuff. They were watching it on TV. They were talking about it. I remember talking about Egg Monsters from Mars with my friends at school. Like we liked it. It was cool. It was fun, and it led us to read other books. And I just don't know that that's as much of a thing. Like, there's an issue with literacy these days, and as far as like kiddie horror, yeah, there's Stranger Things. I don't know what else there is though. So I mean, I have two moms here. What do you guys think?
like Stranger Things, obviously, but also Joe Hill has this show. It's on Netflix now, but it started out on AMC. It's called Nosferatu,
Not
but it's
you.
like N0S4T or 2U. That
Right,
is really
Nosferatu.
good, and it's kind of the premise of it is this like guy takes these kids to a place called Christmas Land, and it's a little bit more nefarious than that, but like it's like like a Yule creature that comes and takes children. Basically, that's the simplest way I can put it.
That's Nosferatu.
Yeah, and
Yes.
it being by Joe Hill, it's really good. It's really good.
Adrian,
So
you
I
did a
actually told
terrible
Dan
job
about this.
selling this. No, 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 no. You did a terrible job of selling this to me.
It depends on how well you were listening to me.
I have a thing where I don't like Joe Hill because he's Stephen King's son, and I'm like, Nepo baby. And I read his first book, and it sucked. It's called Heart Shaped Box. It's terrible. It's so bad. It's such a bad book. But he's written other things that are probably really good. Like I watched the Lock and Key show. I love that show, and that's based on his comic book. Right. Speaking of stuff for kids, horror for kids. I mean, fucking show your kids Lock and Key, man.
Yeah.
I did actually.
You did, yeah, yeah. And I clearly is like, yeah, I know, thank you, jerk off. Seen it, did it. So like, yeah, no, okay, Nosferatu. All right, put it on the list. We're gonna have to do an episode where like I say nice things about Joe Hill after I read several of his books. So that'll be fun.
I get
Can't
to
wait.
like throw balloons or confetti or something at that, okay?
Little party poppers.
Yeah.
Those would be good.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, okay. So where should we go next? What do we want to talk about next? I'm a little unprepared. What'd you say, Adrian?
Oh, I was gonna ask Eric,
Man, you're breaking up, bro. Say it again.
what was your favorite story from Goosebumps?
I was a big fan of Mr. Puppet Man. I'm right there with Dan. I'm a sucker for dolls, killer toys. I feel like him and Chucky were like the catalysts of my horror addiction as a child because it was that extra little bit of, oh, that might happen in reality for me. Like my mom was an avid porcelain doll collector when I was little, except she didn't put them in her room. She put them in mine. They were on shelves around my bed. So when I was like 4, I was already terrified that they were going to come alive in the middle of the night and just murk me because they were upset for whatever reason. And then I saw media like that, and it just exacerbated that issue for me.
I like that. I like that Slappy calls people his slave. He calls people his slave. Bride of the Living Dummy, which came out long before Bride of Chucky. So Don Mancini is a hack.
Speak on my boy like that.
Just saying, he stole from R.L. Stein. I'm just kidding.
Everything is borrowed. There's no such thing as an original thought.
Art
There
is a
are only
conversation.
12 archetypes of storytelling. This is true.
12 archetypes. That's right. Yep. Listen, art is a conversation. I say it all the time here. I'm just kidding. But so in Bride of the Living Dummy, Slappy decides he likes this girl's like American Girl doll. It's like a doll. It's this big.
I had
So
one of those too, and that was bad for me.
You had that? That's crazy.
They are legitimately like knee height. They are terrifying.
Love it. I love it. By the way, Slappy's design in the show is fucking great. Like, I love it. He's got the weird things on his cheeks.
The
It's
hips
creepy.
mouth.
So basically, he steals this girl's doll, he brings it to life, and things start disappearing from around the house. And at the end, the mom's like, my wedding ring is missing. And she's like, Slappy, you can't give that wedding ring to marry my doll. And he goes, I don't want her. I want you, dummy. You're my slave. And the doll's like, how could you, Slappy? And she smacks him and they both fall off the thing and break. And that ending makes no sense. It's not built up at all. It's just, okay. You know?
It's just there.
It's awesome.
That is iconic. I'm here for it.
I love it. It's a great episode. By the way, R.L. Stine famously interviewed Slappy. Let's take a look at that. Before you start asking questions, R.L., I have a question for you. Why do you enjoy writing about me so much? Is it because I'm brilliant and clever and wise? Or is it because I'm so good-looking? Did you know when I look in a mirror, the mirror says, thank you? I like to write about you because you're so modest, Slappy. When you look in the mirror says, humans only, and you're always so kind. I'm kind to animals. I never step on them unless they're in my way. Let me ask you this. Do you believe, do you have a personal motto? I'm a big believer in the golden rule. Do it to others before they do it to you. That's kind of evil. That's kind of evil. Your face is kind of evil. Does it hurt you? No. Well, it's killing me.
He's so sassy.
I know. Isn't it great? A lot of people want to know what your favorite food is. Well, 5th graders are my favorite, but 6th graders can be delicious too. They're a little tough, so you have to cook them longer. So, yeah, that's Slappy. He likes to eat children. Also, I think 5th and 6th graders are most likely Slappy's target audience here. Man, there are a lot of these Slappy World books. Holy fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 12, 19. Oh my god. Diary of a Dummy. Oh, is that a play on Diary of a Madman? Slappy in Dreamland. I am Slappy's evil twin. Slappy birthday to you. At least he's having fun. So, I guess we can wrap up. So, my favorite books were Go Eat Worms, Night of the Living Dummy, One Night in Horrorland, and Stay Out of the Basement. You guys, Sai, what are your favorites, if any? You could say episode names too. I don't care.
Curse of the Mummy's Tomb, Night of the Living Dummy.
Classic.
The Werewolf of Fever Swamp. One we didn't talk about, The Haunted Mask.
Oh,
that one is my favorite.
Speaking of which, that one changes the ending too. You can only take it off once. So she uses her mother's symbol of love, the paper mache mask, and takes it off. It's very dramatic. And then the brother is like, hey, look at the mask, In the show, the dog steals it at the end and buries it while it's yelling at him, Were there any others, Sai? Or was that it? Was that your
As far as Goosebumps, and then there was Monster Blood. For Fear Street, it's the Fear Street Saga, which are the first 3. Betrayal, The Secret, and The Burning. Prom Queen, Night Games, and Secret Admirer.
Very cool, very cool. Yeah, the Fear Street movies that are on Netflix are great. They should, don't watch them with your children. They're very bloody and very brutal, but they are great. I'm saying this, I'm saying this for the viewers, not for you, Sai. I'll edit that out. But yeah, definitely do recommend those. Adrian, did you want to list your favorites?
It was The Ghost Next Door and Werewolf of Fever Swamp. Werewolf of Fever Swamp was my just absolute favorite. I actually kind of enjoyed Deep Trouble too, I'm not gonna lie. It had a mermaid.
Okay.
Of course it had a mermaid.
It had a mermaid. Erica?
Haunted Mask is definitely a favorite, and the Night of the Living Dummy ones. The Blob That Ate Everyone was one of my this was surprisingly good when I was reading them. I remember the name of that episode I was talking about from earlier too. Piano Lessons Can Be Murder. I didn't read it, but that episode had me all sorts of messed up as a kid.
The Blob That Ate Everything brings up something I forgot to touch on, the cover art. That book has an incredible comic book art looking blob just consuming an entire town with that face. It looks like Krang from Ninja Turtles or something, So gross. Absolutely, man. That's a great list. And, if you haven't read any of these, you should check them all out. And you should buy them all for your kids and let them read them. Because, you know what? It really doesn't matter what your kids read as long as they're reading. And I think that kids should be exposed to horror. I think
Get them a box set and read a chapter every night with them until you get through every book.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because you know what? I had a pretty traumatic and tumultuous childhood. And having things like Goosebumps there were very fun because in a lot of ways, the spooky things in those books were really not as scary as what was going on in my life. And the fact that I was able to still be afraid of like a fake sponge really says the resilience of children, you know? So any final words before we go into our wrap up?
It's lasted as long as it has and has continued to be, remade in different ways because it really is awesome children's horror. It really is a good place to start kids off.
I would agree with that. Actually, actually it's funny. When I was going to the library looking for books, they didn't have any because they were all checked out. They're insanely popular still, so all my naysaying and doomerism, who cares? Kids are reading these. So, yeah. Adrian, any final words?
Reading never goes
No.
out of
You don't need that.
style.
Huh?
That's it. I said reading never goes out of style.
Cool. All right, Erica, did I ask you for final words already? Do you have any?
I think it goes without too much saying that children's media can be a lot more than meets the eye, and it's definitely worth considering looking into if you haven't before, if not for yourself, then for the little ones in your life or around you. Introduce them to something new.
More than meets the eye. All right. Yeah, so that's that. Obviously I'm King Loki. Check out Deathwish Poetry magazine, deathwishpoetry.com. Our winter edition will long be out by the time this comes out. Check out my books if you want to, demonlandbooks.com. Also, you can hire me to edit your book or talk to you about your writing. I do writing coaching, nightcapwrite.com. Adrian, do you want to plug your stuff? Do you want me to do it for you?
Yeah, please. I'm bad at this.
Yeah, Adrian is, of course, the. Oh, wait, time out. Before I do that, are you taking commissions?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay. Adrian
Separate.
Adrian is the chairperson of the Horror Art Film Society of Amarillo and also the managing editor of the Goblin Crypt Art and Culture magazine. And she's also an incredible, incredible artist who takes commissions. So if you need a book cover or you want someone to draw your erotic Dracula slash Mumra painting, talk to her and she'll do it for you. Erica, you want to do your plugs?
You can also find me on Instagram. I write sometimes. I post poetry inconsistently, but I'm trying to get better at it at Monstrum Exemplum.
Yeah, yep. Links to all these things below. Sai.
Well, I
Pluggables?
am a poet. Obviously, that's what brought me here, but I'm also an author and a screenwriter, and I provide services that include editing and ghostwriting, story development. You can find me on Instagram at author Cy Marie, and basically Cy Marie everywhere, Cy Marie Johnson. I'm on just about all of the things, TikTok, YouTube, whatever. I also host Histories of Horror podcast. I drop true crime or supernatural episodes every other Sunday. So if that's something that's interesting to you, you can check me out doing that too.
Very cool. Very cool. And on that note, write poetry, make art, and love your demons. Ave Satanas.